Well,
It'd be funny.
one of my members, freaking Pedro, he actually brought this up to ask you. He said there's an old story about Jean-Claude Van Damme calling out Steven Seagal to a real fight after Steven was talking crap to him at Sylvester Stallone's house party. And they claimed that Steven backed down and left, and then Jean-Claude Van Damme went and found him at a bar somewhere and challenged him again, and Steven backed down again. Have you ever heard the story? And you worked with Van Damme as well.
Yeah, I worked with Van Damme, yeah.
Okay. Based on Van Damme and Seagal, based on your familiarity with both of them, can you see something like this happen?
Yes, absolutely.
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 Okay.
Yep. Van Damme's not afraid to spar people. He sparred me back in with when we were doing what's the name of the damn movie? Universal Soldier.
Yeah.
I was in the first one.
Yeah.
And we would work out together. And he had no real fear. Which was a trip because he's the lead, and I was still competing at the time. But I never cheap shot anybody. We were working out really. We had fun working out together. But he would spar, and so he had timing and everything, and I know he wouldn't have any kind of fear. He knew how to fight. So yeah, but again, like with Steven, like, come on, he's a guy, like, he's never fought anybody. So like, it's a different thing. You're performing, and again, he doesn't have to know how to fight somebody. He just has to look like it. Again, like Steven Seagal's movies, I loved them when they first came out. On Deadly Ground, and that's what he's supposed to do. Like, Clint Eastwood doesn't have to be an accurate shot. He just needs to look like it. So I don't hold that against Steven Seagal. He's not supposed to be able to fight people. Like, I don't think Steven Seagal has ever had to block a punch toward his face. Who would have done it? Who would have been punching at him? What ring would he have ever been in? But the layman always holds up like you got to be a real fighter. No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. David Carradine doesn't have to fight nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean? But Steven Seagal is, I don't know why he puts that upon himself, that he has to try to legitimize himself as a fighter. It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, and I looked it up. There really is beef between Van Damme and Steven Seagal. They actually talk crap about each other. Both ways.
I mean, Steven Seagal's never going to spar Van. I think Steven Seagal really knows that there's never going to be. He can challenge anybody. There's never going to be a instance where they're going to face each other.
In an actual fight between Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme, who would you give it to?
If Jean-Claude Van Damme, look. Anybody, but I'm sorry. In my belief, you would beat Steven Seagal. As far as in my estimation,
okay,
you would beat him just like you probably beat David Carradine if you really fight. He's not. When would he have fought somebody?
Yeah.
When would be the instance where somebody's trying to kick the shit out of Steven Seagal in a match? And who would that be? If that person who tried to kick Seagal or tried to fight him or that sparred with Seagal, if that ever happened, we would know who that person would be.
Right.
There's no way that happens. So here's a guy who's never done that. He's never had to block a punch intended to knock his ass out. Van Damme has.
Right, because Van Damme was an actual martial artist before he went to Hollywood, right?
Yes. And I know he spars people. He sparred me.
How do you do?
He's he's not the same level. It wasn't the same. He's not supposed to be. Again, he's not supposed to be. I was still competing at that time. He was doing movies.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's why I give him all the respect in the world, because he's sparring a guy who's fighting people. And the fact is, I'm not going to cheap shot him. We're sparring to sharpen each other. Okay? you're doing so, when you're sparring, like myself, I'm trying to, work on my reflexes and things like that. And you're controlling your hitting, because it's not trying to kill each other. And plus you're doing a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to injure anybody. But the fact is, he has to be brave enough to know I'm fighting another fighter that I'm susceptible for him cheap shotting me. And the fact that he gave me that trust made me go, man, what a upstanding guy. And plus, he looked out for me on that set like you would not believe. Like, I was freezing. He insisted that, he would give me his coat between shots because I was in short sleeves. And he was, he would insist I wear his coat. And, he had a long sleeve shirt underneath it. Mm-hmm. That's who he is. And I'm always going to fight for that guy. But he's a really nice person. He's always been that way. But yeah, I give respect to people who really fight.
There we have it. Michael Jai White. Always a pleasure.
All right.
Until next time.
All right.
Peace.
Time to eat. Time to eat.